we welcome you back to MidPoint with Ed Berliner. We're listening into the president right now, who's giving a live address on the murder of James Foley, the American journalist. Let's listen into the president speak right now.
Killing innocent, unarmed civilians in cowardly acts of violence. They abduct women and children and subject them to torture and rape and slavery. They have murdered Muslims, both Sunni and Shia, by the thousands. They target Christians and religious minorities, driving them from their homes, murdering them when they can, for no other reason than they practice a different religion. They declare their ambition to commit genocide against an ancient people. So ISIL speaks for no religion. Their victims are overwhelmingly Muslim, and no faith teaches people to massacre innocents. No just God would stand for what they did yesterday and what they do every single day. ISIL has no ideology of any value to human beings. Their ideology is bankrupt. They may claim out of expediency that they are at war with the United States or the West, but the fact is they terrorize their neighbors and offer them nothing but an endless slavery to their empty vision and the collapse of any definition of civilized behavior. And people like this ultimately fail. They fail because the future is won by those who build and not destroy, and the world is shaped by people like Jim Foley and the overwhelming majority of humanity who are appalled by those who killed him. The United States of America will continue to do what we must do to protect our people. We will be vigilant and we will be relentless. When people harm Americans anywhere, we do what's necessary to see that justice is done, and we act against ISIL, standing alongside others. The people of Iraq, who with our support are taking the fight to ISIL, must continue coming together to expel these terrorists from their communities. The people of Syria, whose story Jim Foley told, do not deserve to live under the shadow of a tyrant or terrorists. They have our support in their pursuit of a future rooted in dignity. From governments and peoples across the Middle East, there has to be a common effort to extract this cancer so that it does not spread. There has to be a clear rejection of these kind of nihilistic ideologies. One thing we can all agree on is that a group like ISIL has no place in the 21st century. Friends and allies around the world, we share a common security and a common set of values that are rooted in the opposite of what we saw yesterday, and we will continue to confront this hateful terrorism and replace it with a sense of hope and civility. And that's what Jim Foley stood for. A man who lived his work, who courageously told the stories of his fellow human beings, and who was liked and loved by friends and family. Today, the American people will all say a prayer for those who love Jim. All of us feel the ache of his absence. All of us mourn his loss. We keep in our prayers those other Americans who are separated from their families. We will do everything that we can to protect our people and the timeless values that we stand for. May God bless and keep Jim's memory, and may God bless the United States of America.
Well, there you have it. President Obama not taking questions from the media there in Edgartown, Massachusetts. He resumed his vacation yesterday evening, was briefed on that video that ISIS released showing the execution of James Foley. Some of the strongest language, Ed, we've heard yet from President Obama about ISIS, using the term genocide, talking about their bankrupt ideology, also talking about the slavery of an empty vision, and that the president's saying that they would make sure that justice would be done, and also a message to U.S. allies around the world, the need to extract the cancer of ISIS so it does not spread. And apparently, you know, it's already spreading. We also got word today, Ed, that last night, after that video was released and after the president was briefed on it, American fighter jets and drones conducted nearly a dozen airstrikes on ISIS targets.
It's going to be interesting to see how the rest of the world reacts now, because certainly, as you mentioned, he had to go ahead and talk to our allies around the world and other countries as well. The American public is now going to ask, what is next? It becomes the same question. This certainly was a heinous act. They may do it again. And I don't think anybody is really that shocked at this point. From what we have seen in past videos, certainly in the last month, of what ISIS has done to the Yazidis, to women, to children, there's no shock whatsoever that they would execute anybody. And again, they're using social media to their prime advantage. They put the video out there and it goes global in seconds.
You know, it was interesting to hear Alan Dershowitz on America's Forum earlier today talking about the British accent of the executioner in that video, highlighting the real problem here that a lot of these ISIS militants have been recruited from around the world. A lot of them hold passports which do not require separate visas to come into this country. And so we're left to wonder, are they among us already? And also, you know, of course, our thoughts and prayers are with the Foley family, who have very bravely advocated for their son and other journalists around the country. But there is that second American journalist, Stephen Sotloff, who was also seen in that video yesterday. ISIS had threatened to execute him as well should those airstrikes continue. But of course, as is longstanding policy, it is not the United States' place to negotiate with terrorists and thugs like ISIS.
The terrible thing to understand is they will execute him. Unfortunately, the people that I've spoken with say they have no doubt that there will be a second execution. There are a number of Americans that are still missing. Apparently, I think it's 10, 11, 12 Americans who are still being held hostage. I'm not sure the exact number. And this will probably continue. It won't change anything with regard to the president. It won't change anything with regard to how they deal with them right now, but it will change our future plans.
Well, you know, I don't know if you picked up on this. Normally, when you hear the president in these types of situations, he is very cautious, I would say. I think that's a fair term about his use of language here. Some of that caution was thrown out today, and you could see the president, whether he was acting or not, has been affected by this particular situation.
Let's hope everyone gets affected by it, because quite frankly, this is an enemy that is here, and we're going to have to deal with it. I know you have more news coming up. We'll go ahead.
Absolutely.
We'll take a break. We're going to go back in a couple of minutes. John Bachman and the crew with Newsmax Now. We'll continue with MidPoint, but stay with us right here on the Newsmax TV network.